Hey everyone! So we haven't been up to much lately. We've just been spending time as a family and doing some things with the kids. But we did sell a few larger pieces at our shop recently. We took a few pieces that we had in storage out, but we need a little bit more to take down and fill out the space. So we've had this piece in storage for quite a while now. It's really rickety, needs a lot of shoring up, needs a lot of work. So figured I might as well go ahead and fix it up so we can take it out to sell. So we're going to shore it up. The top veneer is coming off as well. So we're going to have to peel that off and fix that up. And then I think we're going to paint it a nice blue color. I believe we're going to paint it in Fusion Mineral Paints Brook, which is kind of a nice kind of vintagey blue. But figured I'd take you guys along today and show you how I fix this up, and hopefully it turns out really cool. Let's get going. Alright, so the first thing that I do is take off this old veneer. There's a few different ways you can do it, and people like to use different ways, but I find that the heat gun works pretty well. You go around and loosen up the glue and just keep prying under it, and it's tedious, but you just have to keep working at it. Alright, now that I got most of the top layer heavy veneer off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sand the rest smooth. It's probably going to take a little bit, but I want to make sure I get a nice smooth surface there, just so it saves some work later and makes a nice finish in the end. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and fill in some of the holes and the scratches and deep marks in there with wood filler. Now this stuff is great for getting a nice smooth finish, but the only thing is you don't want to mix too much at one time. You don't want to mix too much of the Bondo with the hardener because it dries really fast. So it's pretty easy to work with, but you have to work fast and do small spots. But this is nice for if you want a nice smooth finish. It goes on real smooth and it sands real smooth, so you can get a nice finish with that. So you could probably notice towards the end there that it was getting a little hard to work. It's a little extra warm out today, and that really speeds up the drying time. So even within a minute or two there, it was really getting kind of, sticky, a little more solidified and harder to work. So you want to make sure that you work really quick with that. But now I'm just going to go ahead and sand down the top of this, get these spots smooth, and get it ready for paint. Alright, so after sanding, you'll notice some of these spots here. That means that it's down below the surface and it's not going to sand smooth with the rest of the wood. And you'll find that sometimes you'll need to do a few different coats of the Bondo or wood putty just to kind of build it up to where it needs to be. If it's too deep, you don't want to do all of it at one time. It's a better idea to kind of go through a few different times and build that up. I was hoping these would cover the first time, but They're a little bit down, so we're gonna go ahead and put some more putty on, and then I'm gonna sand it all down again. Now this piece had all of its glass broken out on every side when we got it. So we're gonna do some chicken wire up front and do some metal panels that we actually salvaged from my aunt's corn crib. If you guys saw that in an earlier video, we got some nice metal roofing from an old corn crib down there, and we're gonna do that in the sides. Now basically what I'm doing, and kind of a rule of thumb when you're trying to shore up an old piece like this, is wiggle it around, kind of look where it's moving and where the biggest movement is, and just get to nailing and gluing. You want to make sure that all your joints are tight. Just try to glue every piece that's moving so that you can kind of make it solidified and you don't get much movement when you're done. But there's no real rhyme or reason to it. Just kind of figure out where you need the glue and the nails and just get to it. And I'm going to go ahead and put the chicken wire in the door. This chicken wire was on a roll, so I was fighting it the whole time. If you have a roll of chicken wire and you're planning on using it in something like this, I would not recommend, because it's very tough. But it ended up working out okay. You just have to put a little more work into getting it to stay down and in place so you can nail it. Alright, now I'm going to measure for the metal pieces that are going to go in the side here. Now one side has a groove, the other side is just flush, so we need to make sure we account for the grooved measurement as well. And I'm just going to measure those out and cut them down. Alright, and now I'm going to tap these nail holes down a little bit. From when the nails came through, they're really sharp from the metal punching through, so I'm just going to hit those back down flush so that nobody scrapes themselves on it. And then I'm going to clear coat over. I want to seal in a lot of that nice rust and roached up look to it. The look may not be for everybody, but I think it's a really cool look when you can get the aged metal like this. So we're going to seal all that in. Then I go ahead and cut and fit the chicken wire for the two side panels. And again, it's a huge fight, but I eventually got it.
And one thing I forgot to mention when I was shoring this up with the glue and nails is you want to make sure you're keeping it level. Always put a level to it. Make sure where you're nailing and gluing it is going to be level. Now Heather's going to go ahead and paint, and I was informed that this has more green undertones than blue. It said in the opening that it was kind of a blue. She informed me that it is more of a green. Still a nice color. I'm going to go ahead and put the panels in. Thankfully, I had the trim for the inside where it would have kept the glass in. So I go ahead and use that, and it worked out pretty well to hold the metal in. I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice heavy distress sanding. I think I started with a 150 grain here. I just wanted to do a lot of the heavy work with the orbital sander, and then I'm going to go back over with a piece of 220 grit sandpaper and hand sand some of those spots a little bit smoother, and just to get it a little more naturally distressed looking. And I'm going to go ahead and put all of the hardware back in. And those shelves, we didn't do really anything to. We oiled them up, but they are the original wood shelves. Alright everyone, so that is it. I'm finally finished. It took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to take. I was fighting with the chicken wire a little bit. But I think it turned out pretty nice with that metal in the sides, that nice rusted look, and with the chicken wire up front. I think it turned out pretty nice. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And with that, as always, we'll see you next time.